Okay, now for something really sweet. We're gonna make kind of like Starbucks cinnamon dolce syrup. And we're gonna go ahead and cook it in the slow cooker. You could just cook this on the stove. But what's kind of good is we're gonna be using whole spices, and we want to give it all the time that we can to infuse. Also, this can make our house smell really nice and fallish. This little pumpkin slow cooker I got, gosh, 13 or 14 years ago. It's stainless steel. Sometimes you can get it. It's Hamilton Beach. It's a party crock. So it also has a little cast iron thing that you can keep it warm with, like a sterno or a candle. But you don't have to have this particular slow cooker. This is probably about a 2 quart. So you might want to use a smaller slow cooker for this or make a whole lot more syrup. Just depends on how much syrup you're going to use. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to add 1 cup of water. And like I said, you could double this recipe. You could make 2 cups of syrup. I just want it to be thick and rich. We're going to do 1 cup of packed. And what does packed mean? We've got it packed in there, okay? Packed brown sugar. I like to use the dark brown sugar because it's more molasses. Isn't that cool to watch it kind of break apart? It's going to dissolve really easily. Some of it may even dissolve just right now in this water. So if you don't have any brown sugar, take 1 cup of vegan sugar and anywhere from 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon of molasses, because that's all that the brown sugar is white sugar with molasses. So we're going to go ahead and put 4, actually I'm putting 5 cinnamon sticks. These are the smaller, harder Indian cinnamon sticks. If you're using the really long canela, the Mexican cinnamon sticks, that's fine too. You're just going to have to be more careful when straining, and you could even crumble those up to make them kind of have more surface area exposed. In the original recipe, I'd used more than 4 cloves, but these are quite fresh and strong. So we're going to put cloves in there. And then I had used allspice powder, but I'm going to use allspice berries. So the original allspice was like a 1/4 teaspoon, and I'm doing about 8 allspice berries in there. And then we're going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg and mix it around in there. We're going to cook it on low for 5 to 8 hours. You could also cook it on high to speed that up a little bit. And then we're just going to strain it and bottle it. And now you can make your own cinnamon dolce at home, but it's just a cinnamon spice syrup. And even if I taste it right now, it's not going to give me a good balance. So after this, if you know, I love the cloves, add more cloves. If you're like, this is not enough cinnamon for me, and kind of adjust your recipe. So we're just going to go ahead, like I said, you can put it on low or you can put it on high. And this one has low, medium, and high. This is an anomaly, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it on high. And what I normally do is I let it cook for the amount of time. Then I let it cool all the way down because that's extra steeping time. So if you find that you taste it around hour 4, it tastes pretty good. You taste it at hour 5, it feels like the spices are starting to dull for you. Go ahead and take it off the heat and let it finish steeping. Easy peasy. Okay, so now for our little sweet treat extra. What I've already done is I've taken this off the heat and let it cool, which is why I can touch it like this. If you're in a big hurry, honestly, what I would do is just dip myself a little bit of the syrup, put it in my coffee or oatmeal, and then just let the rest cool. So there's no need to just hurry up and do this. This can sit like this until this is completely cool. It's still infusing the syrup with all these great spices. Okay, so I'm just going to take a fine mesh strainer, pour it through, and I'm also going to get a spatula because I want to leave none of this yummy goodness behind. So I'm just going to get as much out as I can, even if it's just a tablespoon. You know, that's one more Starbucks drink I won't be buying. Now, if you don't drink coffee, this is really good in tea. This would be really good in a spiced hot chocolate. And see, that's it. It's not really hard to drain because there's just these big whole spices, so they're not really, you know, clogging this up. You can still try and get out anything you can. Now, if you're going to make a hot chocolate or a coffee now to serve people, you can use these cinnamon sticks again. You could just stick them in there and let them be decoration. You can also, and I've done this before, I would take that and put it on the stove for, you know, kind of the potpourri smelling up of the house in a nice way. So sometimes I will take some cloves, get some orange, like pieces of orange peel, or you can even put the whole orange in there, and that's how you can get this really wonderful natural scent in your house, which is pretty cool. So the next step for this is to put it in a jar. I got a skeleton jar. I don't know if you guys can see it very well. I think you will when I put it here. Yeah, so you guys can see that. I think I can move it back just a little bit. I'm putting in a funnel because it's really hard with these narrow necked bottles. And then I'm just going to pour it in. See, isn't that kind of cool? Now you can't really see the skeleton, but you get the idea. And I'm going to go ahead and again spatula the last probably half teaspoon out of this one. And so a jar of syrup like this, inexpensive, is around $8. It can be like 10 or 12. And if you get something like this, which is super fancy, it's not just brown sugar and cinnamon, it's allspice and cloves, it can cost even a little bit more. And then you don't have to have this kind of bottle, but I wanted to do some pictures with these. Though now that I'm looking at this, it's kind of a bad idea. I need a white skeleton to show up on this. But I would use this. It's basically like fall in just one little spoonful. So you could, if you don't do brown sugar, you could use coconut sugar. You could use maple syrup or date syrup and infuse it. If you did that, I would infuse it over low heat because you don't want to scorch any of it with the syrups. And it's going to be a much more expensive to you bottle of syrup to make. But this one I just use brown sugar, and again you could use white vegan sugar with some molasses. And I probably would put 2 teaspoons of molasses in there, maybe a teaspoon to a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, and see how that tastes. Once you turn the heat on, it's going to melt pretty quickly unless it's very cold in your house. Use this over baked apples. You could put it on the top of an apple crumble, oatmeal, baked pears, put it in cocoa, tea. It's just a really nice syrup, and so it's basically like Starbucks Cinnamon Dolce, but cheaper and better. So hopefully this will brighten up your holidays, your fall holidays a little bit, but this is even really good all the way through Christmas. So I feel like if you make a bottle now, theoretically, this doesn't have to be stored in the fridge, but I store them in the fridge. I would rather, since they don't have any preservatives, we're not, this one does have real sugar in it, so the sugar should act as somewhat of a preservative, but I just would rather play it safe and have you keep it in the fridge. If this is more than what you would use, I would still go ahead and make it, and you could freeze this syrup in ice cube trays and just pull them out and heat it up with the microwave and then add it to whatever you want. So hopefully all the slow cooker recipes. So in the class we made the cinnamon dolce syrup, we made green chili refried black beans, we made verde tofu, we made lentil quinoa kind of faux meat for our tacos and other Mexican um, meals, and we made jackfruit carnitas. And it's just all really easy, and honestly, like I said, everything came together really quick. Nothing's that complicated. If you have some questions about your slow cookers in particular, email me at kathyhester@gmail.com and I'll get back to you, or save them for the live. So once the live is over, you need to email me. Okay, have an amazing day, you guys, and I'll look forward to talking to you more about all of this.